Now, with the riots that are occurring, it's just getting more and more ridiculous with this cultural sensitivity nonsense. So let me explain several examples concerning the riots. I mean, you heard where they were knocking down statues, and they were even knocking down statues, as you might recall, not just those that they considered to be racist, but people who were abolitionists against slavery. And then even people who were not white statues, but monuments and statues that were black people as well. And then if you think that's silly enough, just wait till you see what other more statues that they knocked down. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what these people are capable of. So let's look at several examples of these wonderful, loving people who are doing all of this for the sake of love and joy and peace. And they're trying to fight against tyranny and hate. And we got to think about the poor people and the oppressed in different multicultures. Let's see how much peace was attained through these efforts, shall we? And let's look at the silliness of all this cultural sensitivity. So, I don't know if you knew this, but in the NFL, they were going to play the Black National Anthem. That's what they're going to do. They were going to play the Black National Anthem. The song they're going to play for the NFL big game is "Lift Every Voice and Sing" before each Week 1 game. That's what they said. That's what they said over here. And then one of these NFL championship players actually complained about this. Burgess Owens, black person. He says, there is no black national anthem, because look at this. Why does it feel like the country is trying to segregate again sometimes? Because they call it black national anthem. And this is by a tweet from Burgess Owens at 6:44 p.m. July 2nd, 2020. Now, think about it. I mean, if we are going to be sensitive toward a person of a particular nationality and race, then shouldn't we do this for other people? I mean, instead of like biasly picking and choosing people that we want to support and do a national anthem from or dedicate to honor, what about cops? Would the NFL allow that? No, because years ago, this was by Fox News, published August 12, 2016. Title of the article is, NFL denies Cowboys' request to wear decal honoring fallen Dallas officers. This was a couple years ago. So they deny that one, but then they would change a whole song. I mean, the whole country national anthem for these guys, huh? They want to add that one for them. So you notice that this is definitely picking and choosing, prejudice, discrimination. You notice that over here? This is just extremely wicked how our day and age is falling into this mess more and more. It's getting so much out of hand that here's an article from AP News by Lisa Marie Payne, dated June 2nd, 2020. Title of the article is, Retired Officer, Ex-College Athlete Among Victims of Unrest. What is this article showing? The article, when you continue to read it, do you know, compared to Floyd, where they claimed he died during that violence, you know what? Compared to that one, through that systemic racism, there were about 13 to 17 people who died during this peaceful protest. Not so peaceable now, huh? Shouldn't we complain about that too? What should we do? Start a second riot, I guess? I mean, this is just... It's just silliness. It's just stupidity. It's just wickedness, actually. By the way, there's this dumb millennials. You can look it up yourself, okay? Just Google search it through Twitter, Facebook, etc. But in TikTok is another one where these group of teens were so stupid that they were now saying, we want to get rid of the American flag. Just get rid of the American flag. And then what are we going to replace it with then? Replace it with the rainbow flag, they say. Please replace it with the rainbow flag. And all these stupid teenagers, of course it has to be college idiots who say that, right? Now, college always brainwashes the children. Watch out for that mess, right? Watch out for that mess. Get rid of the American flag. Why get rid of the American flag? We want to replace it with the rainbow flag. My goodness, man. And then you know what people know about the rainbow flag when they see it? One of the biggest group of people that they would most likely think is what? LGBTQ, FYNZ, LMNOP, and what? All the 20 other letters that they add. Now I know that I'm being sarcastic, but but I'm actually pretty serious. Where you'd be surprised, there's a longer acronym than that. It's just plainly ridiculous. Just look it up yourself. If that's not enough, I mean, what are we going to? I mean, now you want to get rid of the American flag, and then let's talk about Mount Rushmore, right? Mount Rushmore. So I'm not going to draw the faces, okay? Because yeah, I don't think that I draw it really accurately over here, okay? Because then it'll look like a four-headed, hydra or something. I think that's what's going to happen over here. But they want to get rid of Mount Rushmore now. I mean, how are you going to get rid of it? It's a mountain, for crying out loud. So MSNBC Live, America in Crisis is the title. Tribal leaders call for removal of Mount Rushmore. Now, you thought that last night's teaching was hilarious, and then now these people, you notice what's going on? They're getting bolder and bolder now on what to get rid of. That is just going to the point of, is this a comedy show? Am I watching a comedy show? Or is this real-life news television that I'm watching over here? And real-life people actually saying this stuff. Now, I don't know if some of you heard of Rachel Dolezal. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But actually, she was a big proponent for the Black Lives Matter movement. And then actually, she became controversial. A lot of people separated themselves from her because it turned out her ethnicity was not really black, actually. Both sides of her family were white, actually. But look at this. This is so ridiculous. So the New York Post actually did an interview with her. And the title of the article is Rachel Dolezal, who posed as black, vindicated by Black Lives Matter movement, by John Levine, July 4th, 2020. Now, a couple years ago, they were shunning her out, but now they're accepting her. You know why? Because they're being more bold and more bold and more bold. If a white person can say, I'm black like you, then this is acceptable as long as you look like them. Now, who's the racist now, right? Like judging color of skin now, huh? How about that? This is what she said, quote, overwhelmingly, most people I hear from are black or mixed or non-white in some way, and a lot of people have said, this is your moment. You're vindicated. I have received hundreds of messages. Most of it's been overwhelmingly positive. See, they're taking advantage of this stuff where it's getting too ridiculous now. You notice how much to La La Land is going. Here's the title, okay? Here are more examples of where this is heading toward. This is by CBS, SF Bay Area. Title of the article, July 1st, 2020, San Francisco police end common practice of releasing suspect booking mugshots now. Okay. Here's another one. CBS News. Frederick Douglass statue honored and commemorated, right? No, ripped from base in upstate New York. Are you kidding me? This is the guy who was an abolitionist against slavery, supporting the black people. I mean, you see, this is not, okay, this is not where you're promoting your equal rights movement. This is very unequalized, La La Land ridiculousness where we're now, I guess now we want to defend unicorns now. This is where we're going to get into. You know why? Because, okay, look at this. This is hilarious. July 3rd, 2020, author Don Sweeney. The title of this article, this is by SACB, all right, from Sacramento, their news. The title of the article is 120-year-old elk, yes, ELK, an animal, elk statue torched by protesters, removed for safekeeping, Oregon cops say. Okay, yes, you heard me right. Okay, you know what they're going to do? This is not people statues now. Now it's an animal. It's a creature with 4 legs. Okay, now, do you see over here, this is getting into, okay, where are you going, man? Where are you going now, right? Like, this gets... So then, what would the mayor do during this CHAZ and CHOP and whatever acronym they want to do? They always change acronyms and names, these people. So then, this was by Cuomo Primetime, and a lot of you have already heard this. But then Cuomo, when he was interviewing the mayor was saying, like, this is the summer of love, right? So, I mean, these people have a right. So, I mean, the rioting, the looting, and all this kind of stuff. There are cases, actually, of people taking drugs in there and beating, and even some cases of rape, actually. This is really out of hand over here. And then what happened? Well, for her, the mayor, you know, this is freedom of activity. They need to speak out. Oh, yeah? Because they didn't enter your house. Oopsies, they went inside her house. The very next day, she put it in action, and then they kicked out all those protesters finally. Okay, you know what these are? You got to watch out for these rich people. These rich people, when they go liberal, they are not truly doing it they're not thinking about poor people here. They're talking about, like, we're on your side, poor people. Why? So that they can take advantage of them. And they can build upon them where they can get their votes and their power. And as a matter of fact, what is extremely interesting, this is an article which was supposedly by some UC Berkeley professor, but he didn't reveal his identity due to the fear that his own faculty would kick him out, which I don't blame him, right? But this is an extremely excellent article that I would highly recommend. And they sent this to Tracy Beans, who is the author, June 2nd, 2020. Title of it is UC Berkeley, History Professor's Open Letter Against BLM, Police Brutality, and Cultural Orthodoxy. And it was a scholastic letter, actually. And not only that, the other professors confirmed it too. And then one of them was black as well. And they said it's an excellent paper, spread it about. And the person brought up very good arguments. But I can't read the whole thing, otherwise it'd take forever. So then one example is this, is about, okay, if we try to proclaim that there is this inequality with the imprisonment system, where, you know, they're prioritizing blacks more than whites, he mentioned this one as one of the arguments. He mentioned, then what about, we got to think about this. Most of them are males too, we got to realize. So because majority are males, I guess males are being discriminated. Oh, liberals won't buy that one, right? No, it's the women that are being discriminated. But here's another one. He brought up another good argument. He brought up the matter of fact that concerning if white is the one that is prioritized above cultures, wait a minute. Why is it that whites are more imprisoned compared to Asians? He mentioned Asians, Native Americans, and he even mentioned Nigerian Americans over there. That's a pretty good argument. Oh, so then because we got lower imprisonment, I guess the Nigerian Americans, the Asians, and the Native Americans, we're elitists then, right? Oh, they wouldn't dare say that. They even mentioned Jews in here too. Lower imprisonment rate. But I was so surprised. Every paragraph consisted of every single argument. So if I read it right now, it'd take up 40 minutes. So I would highly recommend just to read it. It was a genius article, but the guy didn't reveal himself because why? Then Berkeley would crucify him. That's why I didn't say all this until now online, after I graduated from Berkeley. Otherwise, they'd crucify you. Now that the world is getting more ridiculous, they will continue to do so because they got the elitists in power, right? So then you get the big guys over here, and everyone's paying attention to these guys. Fauci, Gates, and then the one who's funding a lot of these guys with their activities, obviously, Soros. Now, let's see how much that he actually gave to their political cause. This is by Politico. And then the title of the article by Maggie Severns, July 31st. Let's see over here. Soros launches super PAC for 2020. And then actually the amount of money, they mention over here, the $5.1 million that Soros put in the PAC, more than doubles the $2.1 million he had donated to political causes at this point in the 2016 elections. Interestingly, there's a website, I don't know if you knew this, I think it's called opensecrets.org, I think. But over there, you'll see all the big donors giving to political causes over there. And then Soros, I've heard that there were changes that he raised it even higher, but I'm not too sure about it. But you can look that up. But Soros, they mention over here that he's one of the biggest donors now. That's what they say here. His $5.1 million contribution was the single biggest check any mega donor has cut so far during the 2020 election cycle. But since this is old news, I'm sure things have changed. So we don't know how much Soros is giving now and how many other liberal donors are giving a lot more. But I do know this, the last time that I looked recently, a couple hours ago, those liberal elections, they're getting way more money, man. They're getting way more money. Now think about this. I thought that the rich would be more of the conservative side, right? See, you're only looking at a what? Lower tier of rich people. Look at the big guys on top. Look at the big guys on top. That's what you got to be looking at. The real big guys on top. In fact, what's so interesting is that same anonymous UC Berkeley professor, he mentioned that Starbucks and all these guys, he put graphic detail. He says that these guys who are supporting liberal causes, they're using black slaves. And he worded it black slaves, those people who are workers. He said these guys are using black slaves to become more filthy rich. That's what this anonymous UC Berkeley professor said. He's saying that these rich people are deceiving you when they're saying, hey, we're supporting your causes. Watch out for this stuff, man. Let's read some more good news. Amen? Some more good news. Now, one of the brethren sent me this one, and I looked up this guy. So he has a Twitter account. It's Benny, @BennyJohnson. But he showed that these BLM guys, they protested. They went inside a church. And in the middle of church service, they were trying to cause a ruckus, and they were cussing them out. And they were like shoving them off. But thankfully, they went away. And then I think I noticed one of them was trying to pass out tracts saying, Jesus loves you. And then one of them said, F you, stuff like that. But the other people, they received the tracts, actually. Amen. Yeah, there were a few of them who took it, actually. Even though a lot of them hated him. Here's another one. This is getting pretty scary. But there's a group called NFAC, and I'm not going to give you the acronym, okay, because it's a lot of cuss word in there. But the guy who posted this video, he also put a cuss word in there. But basically, it's Time to Wake podcast, I'll say. But that's his channel name. He puts the NFAC leader here, and these guys are scared. They actually they made an appearance in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And they had a video of their Grand Master speaking over here. And this Grand Master, when they were marching through at the Stone Mountain in Georgia, they were doing their march. Why? Demanding that they were not just for their rights, but also they wanted land. They were demanding land as well. So if you actually watch that whole interview, I mean, it's serious stuff. And to see how serious these guys are, Reuters put up an article, July 4th, 2020. Title is, Predominantly Black Armed Protesters March Through Confederate Memorial Park in Georgia. And what did they have? They were actually armed. Many of the protesters carried rifles. Huge marching line. If Christians did that during street preaching, you know what would happen to us? Yeah. Many of the protesters carried rifles, including military-type weapons, and some wore ammunition belts slung over their shoulders. The world is getting crazier and crazier, is it not? It's getting crazy. And then while they're doing that, they're shutting down channels, actually. So then, while they can continually do their thing over here with these big funders controlling the scenery like puppets, then what about the people who speak out? So then the people who are speaking out, so then let's put over here the word Christian over here and conservative. So there are channels being shut down, actually, and I mentioned several of them. Google did something with Zero Hedge. You heard me mentioning about that. But they're doing. But now they're stomping down. There was a Baptist pastor who I don't like, and he teaches heresy, but been caught as some kind of sexual scandal now. But then because family is involved, out of a good conscience, I don't want to hurt the family, actually. So if his followers troll me online. So if you listen to that, I hope you heard what I said, and I hope you didn't forget what I prayed too. All right? So I hope you learned the fear of the Lord by now, because I have that too. All right? But anyway, concerning about the Baptist pastor, YouTube shut down all his channels. Now me, I don't mind. That way heresy is stomped out. But the thing is that what I share the same sympathy is that because they're deliberately targeting these guys, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, he's a saved Christian, and if some of you don't believe so, well, at least then he's more of this point of view then, okay? But what they're doing is that they're deliberately targeting this. And then it's only a moment of time where it's our turn now. And then we get shot over here and our channels get shut down. And then actually, a really popular site, Guy's King James Only Dispensational, Now the End Begins, he posted an article that Now the End Begins, title of his article is, Now the End Begins, now blocked by Brazilian Air Force for extremism as global silencing of end-time voices increases around the world. So they're doing it. And then while they're doing that, think about the technology that's rising. And then the technology that's rising through the Antichrist 666 system. Because while he's controlling all these people and deceiving them, he's going to make them abide by his system over here. And they're all going to take it. And the ones who are paving the way for this one is just getting there. So this is an article, this is really disturbing. This is by the this is the World Economic Forum, actually. World Economic Forum. These are big guys, so this is not, look what they said. The title of the article, 14th of January 2016, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, What It Means, How to Respond. What is this Fourth Industrial Revolution? We stand on the brink of a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything humankind has experienced before. We do not yet know just how it will unfold, but one thing is clear. The response to it must be integrated and comprehensive, involving all stakeholders of the global polity, from the public and private sectors to academia and civil society. Look at this. See, that's why this control of public people, the rich people, all of this is necessary so they can pave the way for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, they called it. Which is what? Conglomeration of technology mingling with mankind. Quote, the possibility of billions of people connected by mobile devices with unprecedented processing power, storage capacity, and access to knowledge are unlimited. And these possibilities will be multiplied by emerging technology breakthroughs in fields such as artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, nanotechnology, biotechnology, material science, energy storage, and quantum computing. Digital fabrication technologies, meanwhile, are interacting with the biological world on a daily basis. Look how this machine and man is becoming one now even more. This is the Fourth Industrial Revolution. They're trying to hit this. Engineers, designers, and architects are combining computational design, additive manufacturing, materials engineering, and synthetic biology to pioneer a symbiosis between microorganisms, our bodies, the products we consume, and even the buildings we inhabit. This is what it says. In its most pessimistic, dehumanized form, the Fourth Industrial Revolution may indeed have the potential to robotize, verb form, robotize humanity, make humans robots, and thus to deprive us of our heart and soul. That's the mark of the beast, is it not? Go to Revelation 13 and James chapter 5. So let's read James 5 first. Look at this. This is the timeline of what? The tribulation, right? That's what the book of James is about. And what is the rich people going to do with the poor? They control them. They control them. And the poor become the puppets and the slaves. They actually, they're complaining about slavery. They have no idea, just like that anonymous UC Berkeley professor mentioned, those rich guys already have a hold of you as slaves already. And that's what's literally going to happen at the tribulation. These rich guys, they're going to control these people as their slaves. Look at James chapter 5, verse 4. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields. Look at that. See these big shot billionaires who hired these people, but it becomes slavery. They become their slaves, who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. See that? Crieth. That's right. These guys are frauds, man. These guys are frauds. Crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Verse 6, ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Look at verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Verse 3, it's a timeline of when? The last days. Last days. Look at verse 5. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth. That's right. And been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. That's what they're doing. They're reveling. This is like practically slavery, and it will happen at the tribulation. That's why Revelation 13, look at this. The Antichrist, think about it. It's not just rich people. He wants rich and poor. He wants rich and poor. And it's disguised as what? Equality. It's disguised as multiculturalism. It's disguised as equal rights. It's all disguised that way. Look at Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. So with this remember the article they mentioned about the fourth industrial revolution by the World Economic Forum. They need everybody involved so that mankind and robotics technology can unite as one together. Will that happen? Yeah, through the technology, the mark of 666, where you can buy and sell, everyone is going to get involved. Rich and poor, small and great. Verse 16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. See that? Rich and poor, it don't matter. Small and great, it don't matter. They're going to get the mark of the beast. Verse 17, 18, they can't buy or sell. They can't live in that fourth industrial revolution, so to speak. They cannot live or survive in that. Last thing that I want to close with is, this is pretty interesting. One of the brothers sent this, and then I researched it a little more. This is by CBS 7. Now, one thing is, as you study concerning about the regulations that they gave concerning about containing the coronavirus, here's something you got to understand about this. They're not going to give you a lie, okay? Especially through scientific experiments and graduate research work. They're going to give you a scientific truth. But like the devil, it's a partial truth, okay? Because, okay, we get it, wearing masks so that what? You don't get the spit, and then nobody else gets infected, and etc. But there's another downside to that too. The other downside is there are people who keep reusing the mask, see? And then reusing the mask, and that becomes unhealthy. Not only that, unless you get a special kind of mask, then you're really, I guess, you can really avoid the virus. So, I mean, just having a thin cloth is not really going to work. So you got to, so see, there's a downside to that. So I mentioned to you the Hoover Institute, and then there's another channel called Unheard. They gave these professors and doctors that said, look, I get it the way we're doing this, but this is just too old-fashioned, not really effective means. There are more effective measures. We have to target the actual infected population. That's how we go. And it can be done, they mentioned over here. But see, they're putting this upon everybody. See? And then for some weird reason, you know, there are so many questions, right? Like one of our brethren mentioned about, like, I mean, if you got the coronavirus, then can you get it again or can you recover? I mean, this is a question they should have answered a long time ago, especially since they keep putting the numbers of what? Like millions and millions of people? And not only that, there are other questions like, I mean, really? Is there not a cure yet? Etc. So then, here's another doctor who proposed this, Dr. Richard Bartlett. He came on CBS 7. Title of the article is West Texas Doctor Claims to Have Silver Bullet for COVID-19. Now this is what he says. The treatment plan is inhaled generic budesonide. Is that right, Brother Tom? I don't know if you know that element. Yeah, okay. Bartlett said, using some generic antibiotics to protect from a secondary bacterial infection. Using zinc, which interferes with virus replication. It's common sense, it's intuitive. He also says early treatment is better with this disease, he said. And I'm having a 100% survival rate. I don't even know how many I've treated. Dozens. I have 14 that I'm treating right now. As a matter of fact, actually, we can understand the excuse that, look, it's not just your local population. We got to make sure that this is worldwide, right? So that's the kind of scientists, when they proceed through their conclusion, they want to make sure their study is secure and accurate by doing it in all sorts of populations around them. So that's the excuse they will use. But here's the thing is that this person, Odessa Regional Medical Center Chief Medical Officer Rahi Saravanan, he mentions over here that, okay, so obviously that's not how science works. You got to look at the multi-perspective, right? All other populations, not just your local region. But he mentions this. It's not that he's doing something wrong. He's sharing what he found could be useful to the scientific community. As a matter of fact, additionally, he said the National Institute of Health, as well as the countries of France and Spain, will be looking into inhaled budesonide treatments. That's what happened. Now, you know what I think? This is my suspect. I hope I'm wrong, okay? But you know what I really suspect, just from looking at a pattern of history, is that somebody claims they got some kind of cure, and then all of a sudden the person just got killed. And remember that happened with one of the Chinese people, right? Or what's going to happen is, because the big guys, like Fauci, these guys, they're too high over there, they'll say, oh, it's interesting, we'll allow it, and then they'll automatically, what? They'll just disclaim it after that. That's not a problem for them. They got the power to do it. So see, I don't really, to be quite honest, I don't really trust what I hear from the scientific community. But what I do is that I listen to both sides, and then I consider. That's what I do. So I don't believe the conspiracy theorists either and then just say it out like that, because I think about what is the scientist's argument against it too, see? So you have to have a balanced perspective on that one. But I do know this, as a matter of fact, from looking at a balanced perspective, you can't trust both sides either way. Yeah, especially when, it's just too many strange things going on. Anyways, this is all the good news that's going around in our world. So what do? Panic, get scared, and resist the government, etc. Just go about your Father's business. Go out and win souls. Get to church. Encourage the brethren. We need to encourage each other, especially at this time, I think, And take opportunity where people are scared of this incident, where you would lead them to Jesus Christ.